Welcome, welcome everyone. Happy noon hour and noon day. My name is Shayla Ford. I serve as the Director of Leadership Programs at Focus St. Louis. What does that really mean? That means that I get to steward and shepherd the Women in Leadership Program along with my colleague, Kate. So Kate, why don't you wave so everybody knows who you are? Um, we will get started in about 20 more seconds. We're just wanting to make sure if there's any folks that kind of were starting or signing in a little late, that they could, experience the full conversation this afternoon. Um, I can't wait to introduce you to some special guests that I've invited for today. They're graduates of the program. And once we kind of go over some just top of, kind of top tier, like what is this program and kind of high level, what is it? I've invited those special guests to tell you more about their experience, and then we'll open it up for Q&A where you can actually ask them questions, right? If it's logistics, I'll respond or Kate will respond, but if it's about the experience and really what it meant and like the benefits of it, I really want our graduates to speak with you from their heart about what this experience meant. So, is everybody ready to go?
Yes.
Yes, thumbs up. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Again, welcome, welcome. This is the Women in Leadership Information session with Focus St. Louis. And before we dive in and tell you more about the program, what I'd like to do is just take a moment, right? We've had a lot happening in our region with the tornadoes last week. A lot of people are impacted in our community. And if you're not directly impacted, I'm sure you know someone who has been. And so I just want to say, let's take a moment, of silence to just remember them and send positive vibes and thoughts and prayers to the folks in our region and for everyone that wants to come together to really help us move forward. So take a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. And if you need anything, reach out to us. While we're not a social service organization or agency, we do get a lot of information about resources. So if you're still like, I don't know where I can help, or I'm looking for resources to share with others, ask one of us. We're happy to share what we do know, or if you know something that could be helpful, drop it in the chat and we'll collect it and share it out with others that we know. So we just want to be mindful that while we might not be able to do everything, each of us can probably do something, right? So thank you for coming and spending your lunchtime with us on a Tuesday afternoon. We want to talk to you about our Women in Leadership program. And so, Kate, if you could go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint, we'll get right into kind of like the agenda for this time and just a few pieces of information that will help you decide if this is the right time, if this is the right program for you. And if at any point you have questions before Q&A, you can go ahead and raise your hand and Kate will help me to help make sure that we see you and get your questions answered. All right, so you can advance to the next slide, Kate. This is our quick agenda. We'll talk about the program, who is the ideal candidate. You'll hear from some of our recent graduates, and then we'll open it up in Q&A, and then tell you about next steps in terms of some of the deadlines and other information that's helpful. Women in Leadership has been around for 40 plus years, and I've had the privilege of not only going through the program. I'm class 52. We just completed class 81. So there you go. Don't try to do the math. I'm not that, fine wine aged yet, but it was a really good experience for me. So this is a full circle moment for me to be able to lead the program now. Participants are from cross sectors. It's a multi-generational program for women or those that identify as women. And it really is about you developing yourself as a leader, starting from you, right? Like you are the masterpiece that we're going to work on in the program. And then there's an opportunity to not only build community with the other members of the cohort, but the other women that we bring in that are either speakers or panelists or facilitators that help us to offer this dynamic experience to you. If you could advance the slide, Kate. So who should apply? Well, we have some bullet points here, but because you're interested, I say you're the ideal candidate, right? It is a woman who is seeking an opportunity to level up in her leadership, to further develop herself, looking for ways to again build community and sisterhood with other women in our region, as well as to hone or enhance skills like facilitation, negotiation, learning how to listen and offer feedback, or learning how to ask curious questions so that you can move beyond the surface and kind of get deeper into whatever the subject matter is or the conversations that you're having with others. The other important piece about this program is we want you to really think about your commitment to this region and how you want to influence us all to thrive together. And so everything that we do in the program is about centering you first and foremost as the masterpiece that we're honing and shaping and kind of uncovering and discovering things about yourself, but then also meeting other women who are like-minded and in a similar place and similar journey. Go ahead, Kate, and advance to the next slide. So you might be saying, what is this commitment? The program is about 3.5, 4 months. This is the schedule, which is also up on our website. But just so that you know in advance, what is the time commitment for yourself? And so it's important that each and every person that is selected for the program is able to make the commitment because the learning happens in the room. And our classroom is community. And so we're at different places in the community talking about different subject and topic and content, but we need you to be there. So this is important for you to just understand the schedule. The other thing is selection. So everyone who applies to this program automatically is invited to selection day. And that's where we have interviews with all of the candidates, with graduates of our program and or our flagship at Focus St. Louis, which is known as Leadership St. Louis, but all women interviewing, having conversations with our candidates, and then from there, that committee offers recommendations for selection, just to give you a little bit about what that process is. We have 4 Saturdays, which are called seminar days, and then we have 3 field days, which are typically the fourth Thursday of the month. Every now and then that changes up just based on calendar. But just so you know, like the commitment, part of the days are on Saturdays, full day, and then part of the days are on Thursday, full day. Okay, Kate. What kind of benefits does this program offer? That actually is a really good question for our guests who are getting ready to tee up, but I'll tell you a little bit from my vantage point. Part of it is about you again, improving yourself, improving your skill set so that you can lead more effectively and make larger, deeper impact from your leadership. And sometimes that's about leading not only at home, but in community as well, and as well as work too, right? So it's like leading self, leading others, leading in community is kind of the thought behind the program and where your influence will go. So you start with yourself and then your influence ripples out. We want you to not only make deep, lasting relationships with your cohort and other members that are guests of the program, but as graduates of this organization, there's 11,000 plus alumni. And so you have a much broader network beyond the members of your cohort. We also want you to, get access to not only places and spaces, but individuals and community leaders who can talk about their journey and who can share with you how they've navigated uncertainty or how they've been able to, strike life work harmony, or when there's been, really specific issues that they've been able to overcome, our guests are able to share that information with you also coupled with the content that we cover in the program. So there's many benefits to you as an individual, but then there's a collective benefit for the cohort with the community that's very vibrant that is built from the participants. All right, Kate, next slide, please. All right, this is the best time. You've heard absolutely enough from me. And I've invited 4 recent graduates to share a little bit about their will experience with you. We have Allison, Anessa, Julie, and Tori. And Kate's going to invite them up. So she's going to stop sharing the slide deck and we're going to highlight them. And then I've prepared like 2 or 3 questions for them. And then we'll move right into Q&A. So if you hear something where it's like, oh, I have a question, we'll take a few minutes on this segment and then we'll open it up to the audience for any questions that you might have. Thank you all for agreeing to join us. I'd love to start off with a quick tell us who you are and tell us which will cohort you graduated from, and then tell us why did you even apply to the program? And Allison, I'll start with you. Tell us who you are and why did you even apply to this program?
Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Williams. I am a St. Louis native and a Will 80 graduate. Why did I apply to the program? That's a really great question. So I think there were 2 reasons why I applied. One, I'd heard about the program probably 10 years before, and fear, doubt, all those little things that keep us from doing the things that we want to do prevented me from applying. I was like, what if I don't get selected? What if I don't do well? All the things, right? So it's something I wanted to do for a long time. But also, I was at a crossroads in my career. I climbed the ladder, I got pretty high on the ladder, and I was like, I don't know about this. So I climbed back down the ladder a little bit, and then I'm right on the same track, climbing right back up the ladder. So I wanted to just kind of up my game a little bit, take my professional development to the next level to help me with that crossroads that I knew was coming up in my career. So that's why I joined, and I have
Awesome.
no regrets.
Thank you. The next question will tee you up with a little bit like more of that. But Tori, let's go to you next. What was kind of like that process for you in deciding to apply to the program? What were you hoping to get from it that made you say, this looks like something for me?
Yeah, this is so Tori Gentleman, and I'm a graduate of WIL 80 as well. Um, so for me, it was really sort of an internal battle. And similar to how Allison had mentioned, there's that crossroads that sometimes you go through. And I was very honest in my initial days. I didn't have any idea why I joined. I had no idea why I applied. I didn't know that it was what I was looking for. I knew that I needed something, but I didn't know what it was. I just knew that like I needed something meaty. And I didn't realize that WIL was the protein that I never knew I needed. So for me, I had just left a toxic workplace and I accepted a position in another role that I was like, this just doesn't feel like me. But it really took some time for me to be like, I don't know what me is anymore. After being a mom and a wife and a career woman and not ever really putting time into my own development, I didn't know what I wanted. I knew what everybody else wanted, and I did that for them constantly. So I had a couple of mentors that I spoke to, and separately, they both said, maybe you should try something like Focus, or maybe you should try something like WIL. And whenever I jumped into Will, I just haven't been able to look back, and that is not a sad thing for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Julie, what about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Hantman. I'm the Assistant Director at the Sci Foundation. I have spent my entire career in the nonprofit world at various places and various hats to wear. I'm native St. Louis. I'm part of Will 80 with my sisters. Thank you so much. I had been wanting to do Will for a long time. And there was a perfect timing for me, both career-wise and personally. Last fall, I was an empty nester for the first time, and I wanted something to do very different, very new, and something for myself after volunteering for upwards of 20 years for the kids. This was exactly what I needed, both personally and professionally. I have grown immensely. I have learned a lot. I have allowed myself to be very vulnerable, and because I felt very safe in this cohort of dynamic women. My only regret is that it ended.
Okay.
I do have the joy of, I was out of town last week and came back yesterday, and one of my very first phone calls was to a Will sister for networking to see if she would be on a panel discussion for me later this summer. Mother's Day was filled with well wishes to my Will sisters. I get to see one of them this weekend. It's been far more than I could have imagined in a wonderful way.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Dr. Anessa.
I'm hoping and praying you all can hear me. Thumbs up?
We can, yes, we can. Yay!
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
I was fortunate. Hi, Anessa Blackman. I'm a
Yes.
professor at Ponce Health Sciences University. Um, I was fortunate enough to go to a Women's History Month breakfast. Shayla Ford, Shayla Ford was the facilitator on that panel. First off, she looked so good. I still remember what you had on.
Oh, wow.
But what I was having an opportunity to experience in that at that breakfast ultimately became the entire experience of Will for me. Every woman that was on that panel was walking in their own truth, was confident in who they were. And the advice that they were giving about their life, their experiences, their career, it was just right on time for me and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. Because at that point, I was just accepting a new position, and I was freaking out because I didn't know if I had the leadership skills for that particular role. But when I went to the breakfast, I sat next to women who were talking to me and welcoming to me. Everyone on the panel gave out their phone number and email address to a room full of people. I just said, oh, I'm in the right place. I'm with the spirit of these people is where I need to be. So that's why I decided to apply for the program, and I'm grateful that I had that opportunity.
Thank you. And y'all, I don't think I knew the full scope of that until you just said it now. Like you shared some things, but I don't know if I heard it that way before. So I just say thank you that you, one, were there. Because sometimes, ladies, we're going to get back to the guests. Sometimes it's about stepping outside of your comfort zone and putting yourself in places and positions to be open for something new. And that's what I heard from you, that, hey, I'm going to go do this. And then you're like, oh, this is where I want to be. This is who I want to be around. Let me see what else I can do to invest in myself as a result of an experience, right? So thank you for sharing that. Like that's even going to stick with me even more. All right, I'm going to start back with you, Anessa, with the second question, just about like, so you apply, you go through the selection, you get accepted. Like, what surprised you most about the program, right? Like, because sometimes people come in and they're like, I know I need something, but I don't really know what to expect. What surprised you most about the experience? Um, yeah, share that part, and then I will go around and hear from everyone else.
It's so hard to narrow it down because at top of mind are three things. So the first one that I have to mention is the level of care and intention that was given to myself and all of my sisters. I really feel like you all had a camera, following me around, because Kate and Shayla just thought of everything to make you feel comfortable in any space we were in. Every single woman who was a part of our cohort, I could see myself in them in a stage of, like, every stage of my career. So there were sisters that were a little bit younger, sisters that were, in the middle, sisters that were older. I could see myself in every single one of those women. So it was like, wait a minute, this is something else going on here, that you would connect me with all of these women who, when we speak to one another, it was like we were already a member of the same tribe. We spoke the same language. And everyone was so open and transparent and vulnerable. And everybody was committed to the space, committed to the program, committed to the work of getting to know, themselves better. And so, yeah, the care, the connection, and probably the last thing is, as you're going through the program, every woman that's selected to speak to us, whether it's like individually or in a panel, they all said something like, I know I'm doing the work that I'm called to do. They didn't all work in the same sector, but every single one of them said that, I know I'm doing the work that I'm called to do. I said, I want to be like that. Hands up, I want to be like that. So that surprised me a lot.
Oh, Shayla, you're on mute.
Thank you for sharing that. Like, you forget that you tap in and tap out. Thank you, Tori. Tori, let's go to you. What surprised you most about the program?
So for me, I would say, first of all, I am on this panel right now. I'm not a panel human. Okay. I am a strong, independent woman with an emphasis on independent. So for me, this was rough. It was a rough couple of sessions to start with, because I am the type of person that when everybody else is going to get free cupcakes, I close my office door and I keep working, because that means I'm going to be uninterrupted for the next 7 to 10 minutes. And I need that time. So that was kind of difficult for me those first few sessions, but I knew that I needed to show up and give myself the opportunity to be a part of something. And I don't say that to scare off people that may say, oh, well, I'm strong, independent woman, I don't want to be a part of something, or to scare off the other people that are like, oh yeah, I'm bubbly, I love interactions, I love groups, but I'm just not a sisterhood type of person. So for me coming into the space, I realized that what surprised me most is that I wasn't there to be a sisterhood type of person, but that once I showed up in that space, I was going to see a value in myself that other people saw as well. And it wasn't about being a sister. It wasn't about being independent. It wasn't about being strong. It was about, I'm a woman and I'm in a space. Somebody needs to support me sometimes. And sometimes I need to be able to support other people. I mean, the smallest of things, like we had a holiday party. And when a holiday party came around, it was really difficult for everybody to like jump in and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. And I just started taking reins at one point in time, because I have a background in hospitality. And I was like, oh, well, I can just get this done in a couple of hours. And the overflow of people that just praised my willingness to step up. And in my mind, I was like, I didn't realize that there was really a choice. And so I think that sometimes we have these gifts and these values in us that it takes a sisterhood to pull out of you. And so for me, the surprise was that I was showing up in a space not fully committed to what necessarily it looked like on the outside, but realizing I could be a part of it my own way. I don't go to all the coffees, I don't go to all of the events, but on some days, the group chat keeps me alive. So that has been a really big surprise for me, even today.
Good. Thank you. And I appreciate your honesty. So people are like, they're saying sisterhood. I don't know. Or sisters, because there is a community and there is a sisterhood that's built with this group of women that's unlike any other. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the person that helps coordinate this program. I'm saying it because I've witnessed it and others say it back. to each other and to others and to me. The other thing, growth is messy, right? So there was a lot of growth and there was a lot of internal reflection. And that's what is sometimes hard, right? To go, wait, I got to stop and look at myself because we're really good at keeping busy so that we don't have to stop and look at what's going on with us or what do we want or am I where I need to be right now in my life? And so that part was hard. So Tori, I appreciate you saying that because I think that level of honesty and vulnerability is missing in so many other places and spaces. And we experienced that with you as a group together. Allison, what surprised you most about your will experience?
Shayla, I have been thinking about this question. I was going to answer it for weeks. And honestly, all I could come up with was everything. Everything surprised me about the Will experience. Honestly, going into it, I had no idea what to expect. But the magic that you curated in that room every single session, it's like somehow you, Kate, this program knew exactly what we all needed. So I guess maybe my biggest surprise was how many women needed this.
Mm,
Sometimes when you're like in the middle of it, sometimes when you are going through your struggle, it feels very lonely. It can feel very isolating. It can sometimes feel like, why am I struggling with this? Nobody else is struggling with this, but we're all struggling with it.
mhm,
And that was
mhm,
probably
yeah.
my biggest surprise. We're all struggling with it. We're all struggling with those things. We're all struggling with the challenges of balancing life and work. We're all struggling with how to navigate our careers in a way that we can stay true to ourselves and not, bury ourselves in our work and our career. And sometimes we do. And what does that mean? So I think the biggest takeaway for me was just, wow, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I don't know how that magic was created. I mean, I have like 4 degrees and I can't come up with the words to describe it. Okay. Like it's really intense and it's really amazing. And it is the purest, most honest, and most genuine and most loving form of here's what you need. We're going to take care of you and we're going to make sure you get it that I think I've ever seen. So
Thank you. Thank you.
you're
I
welcome.
think for us, our intention going in, Kate and I, is always that women feel seen, heard, and valued and validated, right? And so often we're in spaces that don't even see us, let alone validate that we have value or that we bring something. And so that's part of for me the intention, right? And I think when you intend something with a pure heart and a genuine concern for other humans, in particular other women, then things begin to happen that go beyond what we plan, right? Because I can plan out the thing to the T, but it's really when women come into the room and say, I'm going to lean into what you're creating for me and I'm going to accept, right, the compliment or the
Absolutely.
gift or the invitation. I'm going to say yes to it and like trust the process.
And
So,
every single
yeah.
one of us felt that intentionality in everything from the way you greeted us when we
Yes.
walked in the room
Yeah.
to the way Kate made sure we had something good to eat,
Yeah.
from the conversations that took place. That intentionality was evident and felt by every single one of us every single second that we were together. So, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Julie, what would you add to that? What surprised you most about Will? Also, given that you said you waited for such a long time, right?
Mhm.
And you almost waited until your kids were gone, right? They're out of the nest and you're like, now is my time.
Yes.
And so you waited so long, but what surprised you most about the program and your experience?
Well, I think what surprised me earlier in your words, Shayla, you hit the nail on the head for me that I felt messy. Life is
Mm,
messy.
yeah.
I'm messy and I can be very rigid. I can be, I want to appear to have it under control and maybe I, want to appear I have it together. And the frayed pieces started to unravel during Will, with some of our exercises that, it was like a hard learn to have that made me feel weak, made me feel vulnerable. I think some of our other Sisters had some stronger words for it, but it was like
Yeah.
lashing out at, I don't want to be this way. But it was really necessary to kind of take that in and accept it. And then I felt safe accepting I'm
Yeah.
weak over here, I'm vulnerable over here, I'm not as good as I want to be. But what's kind of grown out of that, because I've taken the exercises that we did, building our board of directors and really honing that. What kind of came out of some of that was an unexpected creativity within myself. And I'm like, ooh, I can see next steps for myself. I can see what is oh shoot, what is Nicholas Pierce's
Oh, purpose
the
path.
purpose path, but he had this
Oh, vocational courage, that word?
vocational courage and
Okay.
hybrid vocation.
Okay.
I really do see, like, even at my age, I'm not done. I don't want to be done. I
Mhm.
have like a next step to tackle,
Yeah.
and how I want to be, and it feels so exciting. And so that has that really came out of all of those different experiences on those Thursdays and Saturdays. And let me tell you, bring your power bars, because I was
Mhm.
like drained and exhausted and exhilarated at 4 o'clock on those days. And I came home like wired and tired and couldn't wait for the next time.
Yeah.
Just really couldn't wait. So this has been a rebuilding for me. But facing having to be really honest with myself on some of my faults. I do appreciate that now.
Mm, okay. I appreciate the honesty, right? Because I think we all see, right? Just like on social media, we all see the good, the highlights and the high reels. And you're like, yeah, I'm in a leadership program and I got my certificate and I did it and I'm doing all these things, or I'm advancing in my career, or I've grown as an individual. There's been real transformation, but we don't talk about like the real work that has to happen in
Mhm.
community, in a brave space, right? Where then you kind of go, ooh, let's pull back the cover, let's pull off the mask, so to speak, right? And really take a look at ourselves and really evaluate, where are we and where do we want to be, right?
Mhm.
And that you have everything you need already inside of you to get to that next place. I have the privilege and the benefit of just helping guide you along that journey, right? Like that's really what I do. I'm not teaching anything like necessarily new, or, telling you something that maybe you don't know or haven't heard, but giving you time and space to be seen, heard, and validated in this process. I think that's what it is. That's like the secret sauce. If someone's like, well, what is it? That's really it. It is the work that you all lean in to say you want to do, right? Here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to see if Kate will see if there's any questions, and we'll take a few minutes for Q&A to see if anyone in the audience is like, I'm curious about this aspect of the program, or to one of you maybe directly tell me more about what you just said to us. So let's open it up for Q&A, and go ahead and raise your hand or drop your question in the chat, and Kate or I am happy to respond to the question or read the question out loud so that everyone can benefit from the conversation that we're being involved in together.
To get us rolling, I have a question that was dropped in the chat. It's a big one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start with the direct question, was in regards to application, and this individual's unsure if they have enough volunteer experience. Focus is looking for people that are invested in the community and looking to give more back in the community. So you don't have to have rigor behind you. You have to have a complete application, like complete the form, please. You need 2 nominations. I just dropped the chat in there. and we're looking for women to support women. So the women on this call have nominated people. They're going to keep looking for ladies in their lives to kind of lift up. So I wouldn't, also, I have found in my experience that many women walk into this room very intimidated. Oh, they've got bigger titles. Oh, Allison has 4 degrees, but she can't find the words, like all those things. Don't worry about all those things. So that was the first part of the question. And I thought I could, easy enough. Another part of the question was, they're a main caregiver for a number of people in their lives, parents, grandparents, children. One of our mantra that we say before every session is, "It's my time." And timing really is important. Being present, being in person present, but fully present. So I wonder, panel, if you want to speak to how you knew it was your time, or enlisting others in your life so that you could take the time. If you want to speak to that.
So I can share a couple of little things that have helped me realize this space. So the first one was, first, my husband is incredibly supportive, but there was a Saturday that I had a focus thing scheduled, and I don't like to do anything after focus. And the evening was empty, and he had made the comment, "Well, we have time next Saturday." And I got I was a little flustered in the moment because I was just like, okay. And I was like, no, we don't have extra time. That's my time. Like, I remember being very emphatic about it because I think that that's important too. It's just recognizing that sometimes it might not be the right spot or the right time for whatever you're going through as a caregiver. But I can also add that I missed one session during my entire program, and it was an emergency. I didn't really have a choice in it. And I wish there is anything I could have done that day to move pieces around, because I realized that missing that one session just blew up my month. I was just relying on the impact of that session, of the camaraderie of everyone else that was there, and what I was going through. I really needed to talk to somebody about it as well. And so, I mean, I know that there's always the flexibility with the group, but what I would just kind of add to that is really, looking at your schedule. If you can't carve out the dates, I would highly encourage you to look to maybe the next session. But it really is about the investment in yourself. If you can't show up there, you're kind of saying, I can't show up for myself.
Wow. Yeah.
Julie and Dr. Nessa, I saw you guys nodding as well. Is there something you wanted to add?
Yeah, because my soulful Tori, I just love you. So soulful. I was just thinking back to how the sessions were planned out for us, but not rigidly so. And time was always made for us. If the spirit wanted the conversation to go in a different direction, if a sister brought up a question, if a sister had a comment, we allowed it. And that translated to my life, like my personal life, like allow people to say what they need to say, allow things to play out, because there is going to be something in most cases that's going to be useful, that's going to feed me. And that just happens so often that and that's what's going to happen. Like during the entire program, all of the things you learn on a Thursday or a Saturday, you have to take that back into your family life. You take that to your friendships. You take that to your work life. I was going to work, showing up as my bubbly self, but really like sharing with them some of the questions that were asked of me. And my colleagues started to, thank me for that and come to me for those things. And I know this came from Focus. I know this came from Will, So yeah, I'm just thinking back on the entire experience. I had to take that time for myself to do it. And I'm so grateful that I did, because it began to be something that I do for myself moving forward, taking the time for me. So
I think I said earlier, I waited till I was an empty nester, but then given that I have two college age kids, daughters, we are different generations speaking differently about present situations. And my daughters are my teachers when it comes to what are modern ways of thinking, but then I could share with them what I was becoming and learning at will. And some of their generation is like, well, duh, you should be doing that. And then other things I was learning was really impactful to them. So it was a great set of conversations when I got to spend time with my daughters. One of them is home for the summer. And ladies, I said, what are you doing this summer? And she's like, well, I'll get a job and maybe I'll take summer school. Oh, and I need to meet Pam. So
Yes. Yes.
so
That is going to
Pam's
be an
on the
amazing
agenda for the
thing.
summer for
Yes.
share.
You're twinned by another mother. Your
Yes.
sister from another
That's
Mr.
right.
Sister. Yes, you're
That's right.
Pam.
That is pretty amazing. So, like, what I heard you all say in your own way is that, like, setting the time aside for yourself, like really saying this is not just my mantra that we introduced to you, but it is my time, meaning that I am going to choose myself and choose this opportunity for me to just be, right? Be in the midst of other women and grow and learn or share conversations or find your sister from another mister, right? Right. But that you find sometimes you find that person or your friend or you find that group of women, but it's because you committed to yourselves first and foremost, right?
And
And then you made the
I'm
time.
sorry, I didn't
Go
mean to
ahead.
interrupt. Some people say like if you take care of yourself first, you're better for everyone else, and that
Yeah.
really kind of started to come through a little bit more for me. Like I sort of understood the oxygen mask in the plane, but I felt like I was better for people around me because I was like feeding myself.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's one of the reasons we say if you're leaning towards it, lean in, do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That said, Shayla and I have, touched a number of cohorts. I touch a lot of the different cohorts that Focus offers, and there's been a death in the family, and there's, a loss and a new job. If life is overwhelming you and you need time, you take your time. We've had that happen recently, and they joined for another cohort. It's your time, but you need to take your time. But what you put into something is what you get
Right.
out of something.
Absolutely.
And another person asked, did you do this for yourself? Were you recommended, motivated to do it for yourself? Did someone in your company put you forward? And then there's a financial follow-up question that Shayla can address to that as well, because people come to us in a lot of different ways. So panelists, Allison, do you want to speak to that first?
Yeah, I did it for myself. When I initially heard about the program, the company that I worked for at the time was sending people to this program. And I was like, I want to go. And my boss was like, you don't need to go. And I'm like, uh, okay. So when I finally got the courage up to do it this time, I mean, that's what prompted me to do it. I wasn't scared of it anymore. And I knew I really needed help. I didn't know if this was going to be the help that I need. And it absolutely 1,000% was. Um, but I did it for myself. I did it for myself because I knew, regardless of what organization or company I was affiliated with, that I wanted to up my own skill set and take myself to the next level. So I did it for myself. And I'll just say, if you're on the fence, if you can make the time, do it. Do it. You won't regret it.
Absolutely. Do others want to chime in on that, Tori, Anessa, or Julie? Like just Did you do it for yourself? Well, Tori, you kind of responded like earlier a little bit, but if you want to add to it, but like, was it because someone in your company or organization said, yeah, you should do this. We got some professional development dollars, or was it really like, no, this is for me. I want this for myself at this point.
For me, mine was definitely for myself. So I had already sort of mentioned that I was in the process of resigning. I started a new role, and focus actually was there whenever I left all of those employment opportunities, and I now work for myself. So I have three different phases that I went through in the very short amount of time that I was working with Focus. But I will say that both of my employers had mentioned there being development dollars available, and I paid it out of pocket because I really wanted to not feel personally like I owed this experience to anyone. And this was about me. I needed to make sure that I was showing up in that space, and also recognizing that a lot of employers have that payback period in case you happen to leave. For me, I knew that I was in a toxic environment and I was going to be leaving it. And I knew that I was in a role that I wasn't really happy with, and I was probably going to leave it. So I think that's really a personal decision. I can say that the two individuals who gave me recommendations were both chief individuals in the organization that I had worked with, and I just greatly respected them as humans. And so I did receive recommendations from people I had worked with in chief roles, but they were no longer with the organization. It's really about what you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. Kate, are you seeing any other questions as we start kind of coming to the end of our time so that we can honor, like, people are, maybe they're eating lunch or they're gonna wait to eat lunch when we jump off the call. But were there any other questions? You mentioned something about finances. What was that?
Yes. So financial coverage. Shayla, if you could speak to support or what that looks like. For the rest of the group, I'm putting links into the chat for resources. And if you have questions, please let me know. I also noticed that one of the links is broken on our website, so I'm going to ask our marketing person to fix that. So do take the links out of the chat or email Shayla or I directly. But
Awesome.
financial support.
So financial support. So the program is a tuition-based program. It's $2,500 per individual. Like you heard these women just say, some of them said, hey, I'm doing this for me, and they may have paid out of pocket themselves. They may have used professional development dollars from their company. We're going into a really, different kind of season, economically, right? And what's happening in the world. And so it could also be a combination of partly I'm paying some, my employer's paying some. We do have a limited, very limited. So I say this, I want you to take that note. Like, we have a small scholarship fund, but it is really small, right? And it's not intended to cover like a large portion of the tuition. It might cover 25% of tuition, if that. And so understand that we're willing to work with individuals, but sometimes how you source to pay for tuition looks very different. And so we can work with you, or if you have questions about that, we're happy to answer them. The other thing is, we don't ask you about financial commitments until after you're extended the invitation, right? So don't go, I can't afford it, and so they're not going to accept me. No, we go through the whole selection process. We extend the invitation, and at that point we say, do you need scholarship or financial assistance, or do you want to have a conversation with us? And so we're trying to remove as many barriers as we can, because this program is important, as a program of Focus St. Louis, but as the person that's facilitating the program, it's important to me that women have an opportunity and have access, right? And so sometimes it looks a little different based on the specific circumstance, but we're here. So ask us. And if we're not able to do something, we'll be honest with you, but we always want you to make an informed decision. We'll say, hey, we can do this or do that, and we can't do this. What do you want to do? Right? And so, I hope that answers the question, knowing that there could have been some other nuances kind of built into what was being asked, but I hope that that's helpful. Don't let finances be the thing that decides whether or not you can do this. You know where you're at career-wise or personally, and if this sounds like something that would benefit you, then let's talk and apply. Okay.
Uh,
Kate, are you seeing any other more questions?
um, Okay, another question. How many applications or how many candidates do we usually see, and how many are usually a part of the cohort?
Oh, that's varied, but I'll tell you I think the last cohort we did selection for, we had upwards of 50 applications and we invited I think 35 or 36.
That's correct.
Yeah. So I mean, a large number, it is competitive, but like there's still room in the cohort for people, right? So don't go, will I be in that number? Don't second guess yourself.
Mhm.
Just apply. Go through the process. Bet on yourself is what I'll say to you. Just bet on yourself.
Another question was, will this information be emailed to us? If you signed up for this, you got the invite, the Zoom link, you'll be getting the recording, you get the links to the information. But again, our emails, Shayla and I's are in the chat if you have any direct questions. There are a few dates that we want to remind you of. So Shayla, I'm gonna just navigate back to the PowerPoint to help
Thank
wrap
you.
us up. Also, when Shayla was mentioning the field days versus the session days, we learn about the community with the community and in the community. So it's really fun that we get to be in different community spaces. We often go where our alums are. So we get that personal connection and they can tell their story. And then it's been really fruitful. Board members, job opportunities shared, among Will sisters, among different cohorts. So that information is about closer to the dates. So if you're wondering where all this happens, it happens in a range of different places. But Shayla, if you want to tell them about important dates.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kate. So there's the application deadline is July the 7th. And so that means we want to have your application and your 2 recommendations in-house. But here we know that sometimes you'll ask someone for a recommendation and life is lifing them like everyone else, right? And so we won't like set your application to the side just because we don't have the recommendation. We'll work with you. And if we need to, sometimes we reach out to people to say, hey, we're waiting for you. So again, you apply, ask your recommenders, and we work with you. The virtual selection day, again, virtual, is July the 26th from 8:30 to 12:30. You won't need to commit the full 4 hours. Once we get all of the applicants, then we work on setting a specific time for your selection interview, and then we send that out to you. So you may, within that time frame, you may need to commit 30 or 45 minutes to us for that process, and then you're done for the day. Applicants and selected candidates are notified by August 1st, kind of what the decision is, and the extended invitation is made. And so whether you are selected or not selected, everyone hears by that date. So that's kind of something to kind of note and wait for the email. It tends to come at the very end of the day on the notification date. And again, if you are looking for scholarship, there is a small scholarship pool. And again, we share more information about that once the invitation is extended and you say, yes, I'm interested. Then we give you more information about the scholarship. And then even with that, we might say, tell us that you want to agree, but before you make the final choice, again, we come back and say, this is your award for your scholarship. Do you still want to participate? Does this still make sense for you? Is it feasible? And if you say yes, then we continue to move forward. So it's really important for me for you to know that like along the process, when new information is available, that you make decisions based off of new information. So along that process, when there's new information, again, it's your decision, it's your choice. You're not forced, you're not pressured. It's not like that kind of thing. You know if this is your time and you know what is feasible for you, and we work with you to ensure like it's all a good fit all around. So I just want to say that we have about 2 or 3 more minutes before we go, we let you go. I just want to ask if there's anyone from our special guests that want to say a final word, right? Like what would be your final like word of wisdom or encouragement for those that are listening? Why don't I start with Tori and we'll kind of just go around 30 seconds. What's your word of wisdom to those kind of on the fence?
If you do join the program, I don't want to give away too much, but do it scared. So there's going to be a lot that comes at you and it's going to all be terrifying. whether it's engaging in a conversation, reaching out, having coffee, changing your career 2 times in 3 months. So, whatever it is, just recognize that you can do it, but you are going to have to do it scared. And that's going to be the best part of it.
Thank you, Tori. Anessa, what about you? What would be a word of wisdom to those listening?
Going through the program is amazing. It's just like an unbelievable experience that just keeps opening up more opportunities to say yes to yourself, more opportunities to be in community. But it's the stuff that happens after the program that I think is even more amazing. I often say everything that we need is in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that with my sisters from Will 80. We have a group chat. If you put anything in that group chat, the sisters are going to find a way to solve the problem. The sisters are going to get you the connection. The sisters are looking for your next job. The sister Kate will try to look for a husband for you if you need one. I mean, the
I am
we
still looking and vetting, Anessa.
okay.
The application numbers just boosted.
Yeah.
But everything is that you need is in the house, and you just will be amazed at how just loving and giving and how willing everyone is to show up for you. That's not your blood relative, you know. This is a just an amazing community to be a part of, and it just does not end. So please consider it because it's worth every penny, it's worth all the time. The connections that you make with yourself first and with your sisters. It's just amazing.
Thank you. Julie, what would you add?
Yeah, adding on to both Tori and Anessa, do it scared, but I can be one of those women who just builds the brick wall to, feel safe or defensive. And it's okay to bring that brick wall down here. And if you open yourself up, a whole lot can flow. And that really helped me immensely. Like I said, my biggest regret is that this ended. I can't wait to see everybody on Thursday at graduation and beyond.
Thank you. All right, Allison, I'll give you the final say for just what's your 30 seconds that you want to encourage those that are listening.
Keep it simple and say, just do it. You are going to unlock all of those parts of yourself that you've been looking for and didn't even know it. So I completely agree with 100% with everything my Will 80 sisters on this call said. But my advice, do it. You won't regret it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you each for coming. Our special guests, and actually everyone's a special guest, like our alumni and as well as all the women who decided to take a little bit of their afternoon to learn about this program and hopefully make a really good decision for themselves to apply and potentially be part of this program. But I just want to say thank you each. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday, those that are graduating from Will 80. And all of those who are listening in our audience, if you have questions or things come up, please reach out to myself or Kate. We're happy to answer them for you. And I'll just say farewell and take good care. Take care of yourself first and then do something good for somebody else because kindness is what we all need a little bit more of in this world and in these times. Thank you.